going to start and spend most of today's meeting with Renfei and some of the TKG enhancements, and I believe he's willing and ready to also do a demo for us, so I'm just going to hand it back to Renfei. If you're ready, Renfei, I'll stop presenting.
Yes.
We'll give him another minute to join. I see I have Simon joined as well. Simon, I didn't put anything in the agenda with your name against it, but I know you're making some progress on some system test work. And I also wanted to call out, I had tagged Pete Shipton on an item in the system test repo, and I believe that I will add a note to our agenda today to have Mesbah talk briefly about that and maybe coordinate a later meeting with Mesbah Lan and you, Simon, to talk about that warm-up, adding a warm-up feature.
Yeah, I do have some history which might be useful along those lines.
Perfect.
Certainly of input for you to consider.
Yeah, perfect. I'm hoping that's the case. So we'll after Renfei shares his screen and does his demo, we'll bring that into the items to discuss. Great. All right, Renfei. It seems we lost you briefly.
Yeah.
Come on back.
I have to turn on the settings and it has to quit Chrome.
Perfect.
So,
yeah.
Now I should be good to go.
Excellent.
Oh yeah, so everything. So can you see my screen right now?
Yes, we can. Thanks.
Okay, so I would mainly share about the enhanced TKG disable feature. So I have a PR which will be merged soon, which is to update the test user guide. So I will follow this user guide to give a brief description of the enhanced exclusion feature of TKG and also the disable tool. So we used to have a disable feature, but it's only we can only use it to disable an entire test target, such as like we can put a disabled and with a comment of the issue number to disable the entire JDK test. Now we added more granularity into this feature. For example, if we have two variations, variation means the JVM option that the test will run. Then the two variations means the test will be running in two JVM options. So if we want to only disable one variation, we can add the variation inside the disable tag. That will only disable this single test case. And if we want to disable a impo, let's say the test can be run against OpenJ9 hotspots, but we only want to disable for OpenJ9 for some purpose, then we can disable the impo by adding a impo OpenJ9 inside. And also, we can disable a test against a certain Java version. For example, we want to disable the test only for Java 11 and up. So we put this subset inside. And more than that, we can use a combination of this. For example, we can disable the test on this variation against this subset and this impo only. If we want to disable like multiple impos, then we have to use multiple disabled tags, like one disabled tag with OpenJ9 and one disabled tag with hotspot, because everything inside the disabled element should be in an AND relationship. So if we put both OpenJ9 and hotspot, that means nothing. So instead of put them inside one disabled tab, we can use two disabled tab here. Yeah, or we can, for example, remove the impo from the disabled tab. That means disable against Java 8, but against all the impos. So that also applies to the Java version and variation as well. So now I will share with you how to disable the So this is how to manually add disable in a granular way. This actually helped us a lot because we used to have comment to disable like a subset or a import, and people tend to forget to re-enable the test after the test is fixed. With the granular way to disable the test utilizing TKG, the disabled test will be printed out in the end of the test run, and with the disabled comment, like the git issue number and comment. So it will remind people to re-enable these tests in the future. And we can also set up a build to run the disabled test using the TKG run disabled target once a while. That will also remind people that some test is fixed, and then we can consider adding them back. So
before you move, may I ask a question there?
Yeah.
So let's right here, the JDK test example here, you have two disabled, one for OpenJDK and one for hotspot.
Yeah.
Let's say for the second issue, they happen to say applies for all import. So then you have two disabled, one for OpenJDK and one for all. So I'm just want to confirm the behavior will be just disable all, right?
Yes. So that one will have the that one can override the other disabled tag. So whoever gets the most coverage will override the other disabled tag. Yeah. Which this like when people add a disable, so they also have to consider, okay, what's already there, so maybe he can remove the first disabled. But sometimes because the two disabled is due to two different reasons, so maybe it still makes sense to keep both of them there. One only for one import, but for one reason, and another for all of the imports, but for the other reason.
Yeah, that's where I'm getting at. Let's just say you have one issue that's specific for OpenJDK, and another issue that's just generic for all. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. So I'm going to switch.
Sorry, Ramsey, could I just add that since we've branched into questions, could I just add another question? Because it seems to be the right area. Have you also implemented disabling by platform?
Yes. So that's going to be the next step we will do, disable by platform. So the plan to do disable by platform is we add a platform, but other than the platform requirement usage in our playlist.xml, we'll use a more generalized way, which is to use the regular expression. So you can define any kind of regular expression. Once that's matched any spec we defined, then that's disabled. So that's going to be in the future. Yeah.
I'm being tormented by Hotspot JDK 8 S390 at the moment.
Yes. Yeah.
That's right.
And to exclude just that platform at the moment without all these features is a bit of a pain. So I'm going to hold off now. I'm going to wait till you've done it. Excellent.
You have a customer.
Won't be long. It will be soon. Yeah. So now I'm gonna switch to my own repo just to do some, just show you some case we can do the auto disabled by using the test bot feature. So as we just see, to manually add disable, we still have to search for the test name and add the disabled content. So it still takes some effort, but not a lot, but still have to create the PR. So I have showed this auto disabled before. Now we have also this plug into the more granular way. For example, if we want to disable a test, for example, this test inf test, we want to disable the variation, the second variation, which is _0, _1. So we just have to type this in the comment. And if we take a look at the action run, so we'll see here is triggers a action run, and we take a look at the job. Yeah, so checking out the TKG repo and run the script. And it actually finds this test, the test name from this playlist.xml. Sorry, and they updated the playlist.xml. So we go back to this issue. We take a look at what's created as a PR. The test bot actually create a PR and with the right content. Because this test has two variations, I remember, yes, two variations, and we put underscore 1, which means the second variation. So it adds this variation inside. We can also do something like, okay, I only want to disable this test for this info, for this variation, for this version. So I just add this comment. So in the end, we'll also see a PR with the right content. The other thing I want to mention while we are waiting for this is, let's say if someone accidentally put a wrong test name or put a wrong subset. Let's say this test only has 2 variations, but he wants to disable this test for the 11th variation. So what will happen? Yeah, so let's wait until this gets done. I will show. Yeah, so now that's the new PR with version and info and variation. Yeah, so we can play with the combination of the these subsets. And also, as mentioned, we will have platform soon. So we can also use platform in the comment later on. So let's say we have a wrong variation here. Yeah, I will show you what it will happen as I wrote before. So that's the action run. So the action will will leave a comment saying, okay, the specific test cannot be excluded with the action run, and we can click inside and see, okay, actually we cannot find test case this, the 11th variation for the test this. So the user will know, okay, maybe I just put the wrong number or wrong test name. So yes, so that's the topic I shared for today, the enhanced disable feature for TKG.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Thanks, Renfei. Did you see my comment regarding ver versus?
Yeah, I updated the README file.
Okay, cool. Because I think from a usage perspective, if we're going to remember easily what are the comments that we need to put in a GitHub issue, it'll be better if it matches up with I mean, ultimately I think that we should have a one-to-one relationship. If the tag inside a playlist is called impl, then the command we use should be impl. And I think now you have ver, but maybe we want to align that later.
Yeah, so the plan is to update the subset inside inside playlist to be version as well.
Yeah.
Because subset is too ambiguous.
Yes, it's confusing for folks. Yeah. Good. Yeah, that's great. I thought that was the case, but I just wanted to verify that I didn't mishear it from earlier. That's good. Wonderful. Questions for Renfei relating to that, or other comments before we take back here? So all I wanted to do here was just open up the December milestone, but before I do that, maybe we can have a quick discussion, Mesbah, relating to the system test, and having maybe make a plan for Lan, Mesbah, and Simon to meet up and talk a little further about system test warm-up period.
Yeah, Shelly. So I guess everybody is tagged into the work item that was created under OpenJDK system test repo. So it's the issue number 294. And so the basic idea is, so we just run a sample load to assess the capability of the machine, and based on that, dynamically set the loads to run on a particular. So the discussion we had yesterday was interesting as well, where we do not want to add this dynamicness, so to speak, into all the load tests that we run, but have a special target or a set of special targets that run specific modes where you can supply this option. So yeah, I mean, it'll be great to have your feedback, Simon and Lan, about the pros and cons. There are discussions about the downsides, and there are discussions about why it's needed, and some of them are being already talked about in the issue over in 294.
Yeah.
So it will be really helpful. So I don't know what works. So should I schedule a quick meeting?
Yeah, can I give you the action to arrange a meeting with interested parties to discuss this one? We want to make sure to get Simon's input because he has experience to bring to the to the story. And I do recognize, Simon, I also agreed, and that's what Mesba alluded to. Consistency in being able to compare is important. So we're not talking about not running these in the way we have been running them. We're talking about giving the option to the JIT teams, for example, or development teams to be able to have a special target where they get to tune this to use it in a new way, to use the test material.
It's just a warning of be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, I know.
Because we used to do, in lives gone by, we did a lot more randomization in the load testing than we do now, and got, frankly, a lot more defects exposed.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to actually try and fix them, you could either never reproduce them, or you just thought you were overloaded with intermittent defects. But we did actually do a study once that showed that most of the intermittents weren't actually intermittent at all. It was the conditions for the intermittency that were intermittent.
Mm-hmm.
So it always worked if you chose that machine and the JIT optimizer to the same level, and you were running with the same number of threads, that kind of thing. But it was really unobvious from the test that was the underlying cause.
Mm-hmm.
And you ended up with just a backlog of intermittent issues that nobody could fix because they couldn't reproduce them. That wasn't really your goal. So, I
remember this too.
That's all I was trying to point out.
No, it's good. And I remember this too because at the moment I see the humor in the fact that I recall development teams complaining about the randomness, and now I am hearing that they would like some randomness back. So what we know for sure is there's no pleasing everybody. But
it's good that they are the ones requesting it.
Yes.
So there's an element now of give them the means to do their own randomness, and they can suffer their own pain.
Exactly. All good. Good. Great. So Mesba, I'll put an action in the minutes that you'll organize a discussion. Okay, and then the only other thing I was going to just quickly pull up, I know we only have 4 minutes left, but I have been using our project in the OpenJDK test repo and loosely tagging things. Martin Verberg also keeps me honest here and adds labels and tags to things. But we are using a monthly milestone cadence here, and I do end up always pushing a few things from 1 month to the next month, but there aren't too many things that last 4 or 5 months going forward. So that's a good sign of a healthy project. As you can see, we've got a few items in for December. We're already at 48% complete, which is fantastic. But if you're looking for items in this repo that we've kind of tagged as want to try to get to for this month, please take a look at our milestones, because typically I will run will have two milestones open at any given time. I had November and December up so that I could tag things appropriately. But I haven't yet created a January one because I do hope that everyone takes some time in December to rest and get ready for 2021. All right, but that was all I actually was going to talk about today. Any other business that people wanted to talk about in the last few minutes of the meeting?
Just one question about the top priorities, Shelley.
Yeah.
I've just been triaging for the last couple of days all the OpenJ9 Milestone 1 builds for their upcoming release.
Right.
And some of the issues in there are in the AdoptOpenJDK build or infrastructure camp. Mm-hmm. I was thinking that as I raise those, should I just stick them in the top priorities so that we don't forget them, because they're going to hit us when we try and do the release?
I think so. So please do that. And for people who are wondering what we're talking about here, the organization, AdoptOpenJDK organization, has a project as well. I just showed the project for our test repo, but there's an overarching project called Top Priorities, where you can tag things in any of the repos within AdoptOpenJDK. So if I go here and I wanted to make, for example...
Sorry, are you sharing? I can't...
I
thought that was what you were talking about. So
yes.
I'm sorry to mislead everyone. But
I thought I was sharing. Sorry. Nobody can see me sharing. I am recording my screen using a recording tool, so it'll show up in our recording. But yeah, apologies. I thought I was also sharing my screen. So I am looking at, I opened up the top priorities, AdoptOpenJDK project-wide top priorities, but I did want to show people that how we tag, if I have an open issue in any of the repos, and so now I'm looking at test repo. Right now, I do add everything to our test project, but there I could also say this is also a top priority. Obviously, AQAvit isn't a top priority, so I'll remove that from this list, but this would be how one does it. So if you come across an issue that you think is critical to the proper functioning of any of the in any of the repos you're working on, if it's something that is breaking us, it should be tagged or added to the top priorities projects so that even if you can't get to it, someone will take a look at it. Yeah. And then the other thing I'm just mentioning here is typically I keep several or 2 months worth of milestones open so that if it looks like we want to get something in January or it can't make it into a December timeframe, but we want to make sure it gets picked up next on the work list. So I will create a January 2021 milestone, and we can be planning for things that way in any of our repos. Yeah, thank you for the questions. And anything else people wanted to talk about today?
Yeah, that doodle link is sitting in both a Google chat and an email if people want to get their responses in on that.
Oh, wonderful. Fantastic. Thanks, Adam. And that's a reference, if you came in late to the meeting, to it's the year end and let's do something social. Very good. All right. Thanks, everyone. If there's nothing else today, I'll, as usual, update this item with minutes and a recording and then close it.
Right. Thank you, Shelley.
Very good.
Thanks, Shelley.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.